Have you ever had something to say and then felt that hesitation and went silent? Have you ever stumbled through a conversation only to think later, that's what I should have said? Do you feel like there are times when your message is completely lost in translation? Well, you're not alone, my friends. And get ready to level up your communication. My name is Kathy Riley. I am your host and communications expert with over 25 years in litigation and then another 15 as an entrepreneur. Our goal here at Breaking Bad Communication is to share tools, systems, techniques guaranteed to shift the way you connect with others. From mastering the art of a tough conversation to cultivating a mindset that screams confidence, you're going to learn how to break those bad communication habits. And I am so honored. Today we have a special guest. Special super guest. She's a superstar. I can just say that. Miss Amanda Taylor. Amanda is disrupting traditional wealth, building paradigms as the Chief Empire Officer of Expand Your Empire, where she guides ambitious women in building generational wealth through an alternative investments. Known for her bold approach to financial empowerment, Amanda helps women entrepreneurs transition from traditional investing to creating wealth through private equity, real estate syndications, and strategic business acquisitions. Amanda's a fierce advocate for financial literacy and women's economic empowerment. She is pioneering a movement that transforms feminine traits into financial superpowers. Through her signature program, Investing 101, she equips women entrepreneurs with the knowledge, networks, and confidence to build their financial empires. Please welcome Miss Amanda Taylor. Woo! Imagine the crowd in the back.
Yeah,
All
there.
right.
Woo, 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 woo.
Exactly.
You still do that?
Hey, I'm from Ohio, so yeah, I'm a Browns fan. Woo, 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 the dog pound. Welcome. I love this conversation we're about to have because as a woman, we don't talk about money.
Nope.
It's uncomfortable. We think that, well, I don't know what we think. We think a lot of things.
Too
None of
many things.
it's too many things, right? We let our itty bitty shitty committee, we let the past, the men rule the roost, right? Or they're the superpowers when it comes to finances. And we're just, and you know what? In today's day and age, that's got to change.
Exactly.
So talk to me about how do we start having smart conversations when it comes to money?
I think the reason that we don't have these conversations is because we don't know what to say. We haven't been educated that way. This kind of stuff they didn't teach us in high school. I mean, not even my finance class in college. I don't think I walked out of there with any concrete idea of what that even investing even meant. The stock market was always a mystery to me. And it was one of those, I just assumed that's something rich people did. And I was not wealthy. And yes, you talk about women, you know, not having part of the conversation. We've been in a society where until like 1974, you had to have your husband's permission to open a bank account.
Yes.
You couldn't get a credit card on your own. I mean, we're not that far removed from that time. And women have just traditionally let that conversation go. They we're just taught the man takes care of the money, the man takes care of
Yeah.
the finances. And that's the impression I was given. I don't know that anybody said it out loud, but that was just the way it was. And so we don't even know that we could have the conversation. And then we're too intimidated by it to have an opinion or a voice. So it is that financial literacy, and let's have these conversations. Let's feel comfortable doing it and learn just a little bit. You don't have to be a MBA in finance. I'm certainly not. But just to be aware of what the possibilities are.
You listening to you, I just had a flashback So I remember being, and so this had to be in the 70s. I was a young girl, and my mom was thinking about and took me to this little seminar. And it was a network marketing business, and it was skincare, right? And she wanted to, it was products that she was using, she loved, and she just thought that this would be a really good business. And I remember with her there, right? I went to the seminar with her, and we get home, and I never understood until this moment now that she asked my dad for permission, because of course there had to be a small investment, and it wasn't anything big, but still, when you're
Kids
living
spend money.
paycheck to paycheck,
Mhm.
and she couldn't have she couldn't have opened an account without his permission, even though she was working full time and all of that. And I bet there's a lot of women out there my age, so I'm in my 50s, where we've had that experience
Mhm.
where our parents, moms, had to ask for permission to do that stuff.
Right.
And it's like, oh, and that stays with you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So as entrepreneurs, we think this is, well, as a female entrepreneur, I originally thought, do I need my husband's permission to do this? And I wanted him on board just to lock arms with me, but I didn't need his permission.
Right. There's a difference between support and permission. And yes, you have respect for your partner in, especially choosing entrepreneurship. I mean, that is a lot of time and energy and money, and it does affect your relationships. There's no doubt. So, yes, having that conversation to align your goals and be on the same page and set expectations, important. But that's not about permission. That's just about being a good partner.
Yeah. So is it for women out there that are wanting to talk about money, maybe they need permission. What do you tell them?
It's time to stop saying, I don't know. So your permission has to come from you to choose to learn more about it. And that's why, you talked about in your intro, I did create an investing 101 course because even the vocabulary might not make sense to someone. And I believe that intimidation and education have an inverse relationship. So let's learn the very basics. What does leverage mean? What does arbitrage mean? What's the difference between good debt and bad debt? What types of investments are there? I only know the stock market. That's scary. But there is a whole world of earning potential out there. And as entrepreneurs, I say you earn money in your business, but you make money in your investments. And that's what I want to teach people. Those are two very different mindsets. So how do we take that money that we're earning in our business and strategically reinvest it? Yes, some has to go back into the business. We all know that.
Mhm.
But what else are we doing? And can we do something that aligns with our values? Can we, find a good level of risk tolerance that we're comfortable with? Yes, if you know the ropes and where to look.
And how do you know where to find ropes?
I learned. I started, so yeah, my kind of journey is crazy and unexpected, and yet here I am. I was in dentistry well, I used to say I changed jobs like people changed underwear. When I got out of college, I I had zero idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I was probably saying that 5 years ago too. So I had a marketing degree and I got out and I got a sales job and I hated it. And then I got another sales job and I was okay, but I didn't love it. I just never loved anything. And then a friend of mine was like, "Hey, we just need somebody to run this dental practice. You're really good at organization and administrative stuff." And I got there and I stuck. It was, a place I went every day. I didn't have to take it home at night. I got a paycheck. I lived the life I want to live. It was fine. Um, and when I moved from Texas to Colorado, because my ex-husband had a job, I had to get something pretty quick. I didn't have a corporation to move with or anything. And I met a lady who's like, hey, my husband and his friend just started this house flipping business. They need somebody just a couple hours a week to like do paperwork and stuff. And I was like, money? Sure, I'll do it.
Hmm.
And it was insane. I started with them 5 hours a week. I just ate it up. I loved learning about it. I wanted to know everything. Fast forward, 7 years later, 5 hours a week went to full-time managing all of their projects, went to me starting my own company, doing my own projects, having my own portfolio. Um, it was, when you have that thing and it just clicks, and it's like, oh, not only am I pretty good at this, I really like doing it.
Yeah.
And so real estate isn't just about houses. And an investor versus an agent is a very different mindset. So yeah, it's how do we leverage property to make money? And so I learned all about cash flow and arbitrage and creative financing strategies. And that was the most fascinating part was I could buy a house with zero money out of my pocket and make money month one. And to know that that was a possibility, it was just really exciting. I'm like, how do we do this more? How do we learn about this?
Yeah.
And yeah, when I found out that, I'm in real estate, that's great. I love real estate investing. I'll talk about it all day. But then I found out that like less than 3% of venture capital goes to female owned businesses. And I was like, okay, that's not okay. Why? And, we can go through the plethora of reasons probably why that has been historically, but how do we bring attention to it? And yes, real estate is not the only way to invest. So I started learning about all the different ways that you could put your money to work for you. And some people will gravitate to real estate. Some people will gravitate to venture capital. You can build money in a life insurance policy. I didn't even know this.
Oh.
Yeah. And so once I started looking into it and saw all the possibility there is, we are not limited to a 401k. I don't even have one. I'm self-employed, right? And the fact that, I'm a proud Gen Xer and I'm not going to have Social Security. There's no pensions anymore. Nobody's coming to save us. So how do we figure this out?
Oh, and what would you say for somebody who's like, who doesn't understand anything about investing, right? What's one of the best first questions they can ask?
It's what am I comfortable with? Because yes, investing means in some cases, you're not going to be able to touch that money for a while. So you have to really evaluate your liquidity, meaning how much money do you have to operate on a daily basis, monthly basis.
Mhm.
And then how much of what's left over are you comfortable putting somewhere and letting it grow and doing that on a regular basis. So it's all about knowing your, budgeting is basic budgeting, but beyond that, it's about, are you going to have a panic attack doing this
Mhm.
every month? Are you going to be stretching yourself too thin? And, you can start investing on these apps that take your spare change and invest. I mean, it doesn't take much to start it and to grease those wheels and to build those skills and see the power of compounding interest and be like, oh, wait, maybe I could do more than this. And if you grow a little bit, and then you put that little bit somewhere else, you grow a little bit more, and it just keeps growing.
Yeah. So what would you say if somebody doesn't know anything about investing? I think the mindset is I need $100,000 to start investing. I need a lot of money, which I don't have any money, so this isn't for me. What do you say to the people who think that because they think that's true?
They absolutely think that's true. And it is about, I talked to a lady yesterday who does like credit strategy. It's strategy, and you don't think about how you're spending your money every month. A lot of people don't. Let's be honest. Like we have budgets, we pay our bills. Do we know where the rest goes? Do we do the math? And we're like, where did all that money go? Oh, it's in those Amazon boxes that are on my porch. So, there are things that you could change in your life to give you a little extra, but it doesn't take $100,000. It doesn't take $50 a month. I mean, you can literally start with your spare change and get compounding effects from that. If you have a little more, that's why I love introducing people to whole life insurance, because not only do you have life insurance to cover your assets and your family, it's growing at a relatively good, stable rate, and it's liquid. So if you need to use it, you're kind of your own bank here. That's a great introductory way to do it. You need life insurance anyway. You might as well make money using it, and a lot of people don't know that tool exists.
Oh, so good. So switching gears just a minute, just a hot minute. So, the importance of knowing your numbers
Mhm.
as a woman, especially if you're married, whatever, we often let the husband kind of just take care of the numbers. And I think we've talked before. I have one of those practice marriages. I was married to idiot. We were together 11 years, married 4. And he took, he was strategic and didn't tell me anything about anything.
Mhm.
Um, and he did that purposely. And then the last 6 months, I knew that it was, I had been in counseling. I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how I'm going to take care of me. Like
Mhm.
if everything goes south, what am I going to do and how am I going to afford it?
Right.
Because he had control over everything.
Yep.
So strategically I opened an account, started building and doing things like that so that when I walked out the door, I had my own money
Hmm.
and things. So knowing that, and I believe you've had one of those practice marriages as well.
Yeah. Got a lot of practice.
Yeah. So women, we defer often.
Yeah.
And regardless of investing, what would you say to women to own and empower themselves to gain financial understanding and independence?
Yeah. The independence is key. And people think, oh, that's even if you're in a happy marriage and you hear that conversation. I'm from the South. Like, so I have some traditional things that just were ingrained in you, like the man is the leader of the household, the man handles the finances. um God, I can't remember what else, but he's the default. Like he makes all the decisions, and you can still have that, you know whatever in your marriage, whatever you want to have, that's great, but you need to be part of the conversation because this is your life too. This is your future. This is your children's future. And if you guys aren't having those conversations together and you're not part of it and you don't have input, how do you know where you're going to be in 10, 15, 20 years? And that's terrifying. And you could have the greatest partner in the world and the most, astute with finances and takes the best care of you, but at least know about it, know what's going on, because you don't know. Let's say it's not a divorce that happens, but it's something else tragic. We have to be aware of what's happening in our finances, in our life, and the plans for our future, or we're going to be stuck. I mean, I did the same thing. I started a bank account and was kind of like, oh, throw over here for a little bit. And I did what I had to do. But I was married. We were together for 25, married for 22. And so we were babies. But it was that, like, no, he's the man at the house. He makes the decisions. He, at the time was the breadwinner. So he had the career and made more money than me. So it was like, oh no, he's in charge of all that. You take care of these things, laundry,
Yeah.
cooking, groceries. Well, don't get me started on all
Yes,
that.
yes, that's a whole other
It's
conversation
a
we
whole
can
other
have.
conversation. But we are still, we get stuck in that and just assume that everything's okay in our finances. But I know, unfortunately, I know women who've had tragedy happen and they found out there was no life insurance and they had 3 kids. It just breaks my heart that they were in the, it's horrible enough already. And then to find out you're completely destitute and you didn't even know.
Yeah. So how do women, those of you that are listening that don't have a clue, right? How do they become part of the conversation?
I mean, there are so many resources out there. I thought I was just this genius trailblazer, like, oh, I'm gonna start all this conversation. And then when I started researching, and I'm like, oh, there's some really great, powerful women having this same conversation. Um, don't view it as competition at all. I just want to get more people into the conversation. So, I've read books, I've gotten on blogs, I have a
Okay.
community um that I've started because I want to take the intimidation out of it. I don't want it to be like you're going back to school and you have homework and nobody likes math anyway. So, like, nobody wants to do math. But I just want a place where people can come, support each other, hold each other accountable, and just build up that confidence and then go out and decide how they're going to invest in the world. And it isn't just about making money. I love that people can take something that they've created and help someone else, or and you make money doing it. Like if you're giving back and you're making money doing it, what's wrong with that? And you talked about women don't talk about money. Um, I I know for a fact it was hard for me. Women are, we have a harder time pricing our services because we're like, oh, I just want to help people. I don't want to. We have got to get comfortable talking about money and valuing ourselves, our services, and everything. And that, whether you like it or not, that has a dollar amount on it, even your time. So we have to
Yeah.
start thinking that way.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, what we think about um, transcends to our children,
Hmm.
to the next generation, whether you're a mom or not, right?
Yeah.
The next generation is they're following us. So
And if they never hear the conversation being had, how do they know how to have it?
yeah.
Yeah, my parents, they never fought in front of me. I don't think they fought one time ever. So we had an argument like week 1 of our marriage. I'm like, oh well, it's over. Like, you know, there you go. Because I didn't know people fought. Um, so it's that thing. Like if you're not having those conversations and exhibiting those behaviors to your children, they'll never. Who are they going to learn it from?
Yeah.
Like I said, they're not teaching this in school.
Yeah. And a similar but different. I always told my daughter that because my husband, he's a litigator. Okay, he's an attorney, he's a litigator. You've got to he just likes to argue. Sometimes he just argues just to argue.
Oh
And
yeah.
so we argue, and he's originally from New York, so he's loud, which I don't like loud. So we get interesting. And my daughter's always like, can you just stop? And I said, you know what? That's when you know there's a problem, is when the communication stops. Because you've
Yes.
got to keep, you know this, I tell my daughter, I know this. As long as we're still yelling at each other, that means we love each other.
Absolutely. It took me forever to learn that. Forever. And oh yeah, I was always, yeah, that's a whole other thing too. It's just like,
Yes.
oh, I don't want to say anything to upset anybody.
Yeah, we don't want to stir the pot, especially as women. We don't want to stir the pot. Um, and I realized that as I went through my first marriage, and he was exceptionally controlling. It wasn't a healthy marriage on the outside. I can see it now, but when you're in it, you don't know.
Exactly.
But knowing, and I wanted to start knowing about where our money was, and he was like, "Don't worry about no, don't
Yeah.
worry about it."
Don't you worry your pretty little head. I'll
Yeah,
take care of everything.
yeah,
That's financial abuse. And I didn't know there was such a term until I got into counseling myself. I had no idea that that was a form of abuse. And I don't like to use that word lightly, abuse, but it affected me a lot in how I operated within that marriage and just my life in general, to default to someone else because they had that control. So I didn't, that was eye-opening to me. I've had two
Mhm.
people tell me, oh no, that's called financial abuse. And I was like, oh, he never hit me. That's not abuse. And they're like, it's it's a thing.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yes, it's a thing. And I think it happens more than we realize, um, for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's a controlling idiot, because that's what I call my ex-husband. It's just an idiot. Other times they men don't think we get it.
Right.
And so for the women out there who think they don't get it, but they do,
Mhm.
they just need to be educated.
We
They
need to
just
be educated, and our intuition as women is so much stronger. I'm sorry. It We make better decisions, more clear-headed choices. We evaluate things very differently. The statistics prove it. Women are better investors. It's a small amount, but compounded over time, women are blowing men out of the water because we think differently. And we just have a different outlook on everything. I mean, Mars and Venus, here we go. Let's just talk about how our brains work completely differently. We are hardwired to be more successful at this, so let's do it.
Yeah, we're solution based. Like I think women, we can see big picture a little bit better. Um, that's just my humble opinion on that. I'm gonna,
And there is a lot of risk that can come with investing depending on which vehicle you choose. And so you can't get shiny object syndrome. You can't look at a unicorn and think that's going to happen every time. You have to be prepared for downshifts and changes. So, yes, there's risk involved, but I think as women, like you said, like we look at a longer term view and can evaluate when things are going to go up or down a little bit differently and know what to look for in those scenarios.
so let me get this right. And so if I'm hearing you correctly, I've got money to invest. I put it in an investment and I'm going to be rich next week, right?
No, not at all. The what's the saying? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now, right? A tree
Mhm.
takes a really long time to grow. Investing isn't an overnight success. Are there some? Yeah, I don't, though I've never been part of it. And even if I talk about real estate investing. There are a dozen different ways to invest in real estate that don't involve you, throwing a sledgehammer and busting down cabinets, which is the most fun part. But even that, if I'm flipping a house, that's a, potentially 3 to 4 month project. There's no money being made on that particular property in those 3 to 4 months. So you have to know how to
Mhm.
navigate the time in between. Is it a bigger payoff when you flip a house than it is when you just have a high yield savings account? Yes, but those are fewer and further in between. And then you have to strategically take those profits and do something else with it. So it's just it's just learning. It's just learning and wanting to know your power and what choice you have.
I love it. So you've got this class, Investing 101. What are For our listeners are sitting there and they're probably just like me saying, I want to know more. What is this Investing 101? What are you going to teach me?
I'm going to teach you the very basics in a conversational fun way. I mean, we're going to have vocabulary lessons because there are words that people don't know what they mean. And if you just learn what it means, you're like, "Oh, that makes sense." And then things start to click. So, literally vocabulary lessons. We're going to talk about all the different vehicles that you can invest in and learn what types of returns they normally get, what the risk value, level is on these, how long, if it's compounding, how long before you're going to see this payoff. So really, that point, somebody can say, oh, that sounds good. Oh, that sounds terrifying. I'm going to go over here. But if you don't know, you don't know. And so if we can really drill down into what your options are and what it would look like if you did it and how that translates into long-term wealth, then you can make a much more informed decision, have a conversation with your partner, and decide what works for you.
And okay, I'm looking to take this. I know nothing about investing. I haven't, I have, my 401k, and I've got my house with my husband.
Mhm.
And I know nothing. So I'm taking this investing 101. Do I need like I want to take the next step. So do I need $10,000 or something like that to just start?
No, not at all. You can start with, like I said, your spare change. There are programs that can, if you put something on your debit card and it's $4.58, they'll put the other 42 cents, did I do math right, in a savings account. And even savings account, like that was a big wake up call for me. I had a normal Chase Bank savings account with, you know, six figures in it. And I got my year end statement and it was like my interest was like $20, my interest income. It was like 0.02% interest. And I was like, wait a minute, I am losing money by having it
Yeah.
sit in this barely building interest account. A savings account is not wealth building. And so you can move it to a high yield savings account. There have short term CDs. There's lots of different ways that you can get a little bump um, without a lot of money that you wouldn't already be saving anyway.
And okay, so different perspective. Let's just say I'm an entrepreneur, right? And I'm bringing in six, pushing seven figures. And I have got, uh, a very healthy savings account. And like you said, I am losing money because I should be doing something else with that. What, what would you suggest I do?
I would suggest looking at whole life insurance policy. I would suggest looking at a precious metal IRA. You can roll your money into buy gold or silver, whatever it's at right now. And even if you have a 401k, like if you have a corporate job and you've got a 401k and you know the market's about to dip, there are programs. You move it into a precious metal IRA, you protect it, hedge against inflation, and when the market starts to go back up, you get back in. It's all about strategy. And that is a passive system. You're not flipping houses. You're not, you know, going on Shark Tank and giving people millions of dollars. There's plenty of passive ways to grow your money and protect it. It's not just growth. Let's protect it. Inflation is a real thing. And are we getting the most out of our money?
Oh, yes. So we need to have more conversations. As women, we need to be talking about money. We need to talk about savings. We need to talk about investing. We need to be talking about wealth
Mm-hmm.
because it's up to us. It really, really is. I mean, our man, I, I, I don't know about you, but I'd love to retire my husband. That is one of my financial goals.
Mm-hmm.
How can I get there? I mean, let's think bigger as women.
Right. Because we're so focused on our business, which is great. Like that's what we're here to do. But we're trading our time for money. And yeah, that's, also why I have a business development company. I'm like, let's automate as much as possible so that, you're making more money without doing the same amount of work, but let's exponentially grow that by investing some of that and making it just work for you. There you go.
Love it. You're so easy to talk to and just so knowledgeable. How can our audience, our listeners find you?
I am at expandyourempire.org. That's got all of my courses, my coaching programs, my community that I would love to have everyone come into. It's a free community. We have educational webinars, we have conversations. I'll bring up, articles of note and just keep that education piece going and really hold each other accountable and build each other up. So everything's pretty much there. It's got all my links. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all the things. So
Love it.
expandyourempire.org.
Love it. And the link will be in the description here for this podcast. What would be, before we completely wrap up, what is one parting juicy tidbit advice that you want to share to our audience today?
If you don't, you have to plan for your future. I I don't, if you're not even saving, like so many people are living paycheck to paycheck. I can't remember the statistic. I'm going to misquote it if I do, but it was staggering. The number of people that don't even have like $1,000 in a savings account. Life happens. COVID happens. Bad things happen. Jobs change, get lost, medical issues. We have to be aware. We have to be thinking. We have to be preparing. So even if you're not ready to invest, at least build the confidence to look at your monthly expenses and your monthly income and find out how to maximize what you've got and eliminate what you can to be able to have that liquidity. You need something if it, just in case something happens. That's just a good practice. Whether you invest or not, you have to start somewhere and you have to save.
Oh, yeah, and start with the end in mind. I mean, I think that's how we need to live our life, because it's not, if something happens, it's when it happens,
Right.
because it's going to happen. As somebody who's lived through a divorce, two near-death experiences, right? There's just, the insanity is going to happen. Are you prepared?
Yeah.
And this is so amazing, the tidbits and just juiciness, and your audience, as you're listening to this, connect with Miss Amanda, right? Connect with her on LinkedIn, on social media. Look at her Investing 101 class, because I think that's the first place to start, is to educate yourself on what's out there, on the possibilities.
Mhm.
And you don't know what's out there until you know.
Yeah.
So you've got to just empower yourself. At the end of the day, you have to be your own advocate. It's up to you. And you can do that. You can save, you can invest, you can become that millionaire. You can.
Mhm.
Every single one of you listening today can be that. And it doesn't happen overnight, and it takes small steps, and it's starting with the end in mind. So attending her 101 class is going to be so awesome. All right, shifting gears and wrapping up right now. So getting to know you, Miss Amanda,
Yeah.
which I adore you. So,
No, thank you. I adore you.
um, thank you. So if you were to take stage, because I'm a speaker and I love taking stage. All right.
Mhm.
If you were to take stage, what would be your walk-on song?
Oh my gosh. Um, it would probably be Joan Jett. That's all I can think of right now. Joan Jett. What? Uh,
That I love rock and roll?
no.
What's Joan Jett?
Well, do you? Never
I'm
mind.
I'm
It's like, do you want to touch me? No, I just like the beat. I don't know. I had never thought about that. I should have been prepared. But
Joan
something fierce, female, and rock and roll.
Fierce female and rock and roll.
Yeah.
Love it. Um, oh, Bad Reputation.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a great one. I don't give a damn about my bad reputation.
Yeah.
I'm about to get loud. If you really want to see something, follow me on the social media. I want to challenge this idea that women don't know anything about finance. And no, I'm about to get loud. I
Oh,
don't give
so
a
good.
damn about my bad reputation.
Yes. All right. So would you consider yourself a morning or a night person?
Morning.
Morning. Yeah, me too, sister. I can do night, but I get a lot done in the morning.
Oh
I
yeah.
love that. Yeah. Um, do you prefer sweet or salty?
Salty.
Salty. Yeah, my girl. What's your favorite salty food?
I am addicted to popcorn.
Uh-huh.
And I also am a sucker for a hot, Bavarian pretzel, salted pretzel.
Oh, my daughter loves that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So, given the choice, is it a home cooked dinner meal at home or out at a restaurant?
Home cooked.
Home cooked. Yeah. If you wanted something super yummy, are you going to eat it or drink it?
I'm gonna eat it.
Eat it. Love it.
Love
Um,
food.
I know, right? I work out for food.
Yeah, exactly. The only reason
Um,
we're doing this.
now, what's calling you more, the beach or the mountains?
Mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, my boyfriend doesn't like that.
I
Well,
love it. If you are to read, are you reading paper or Kindle?
I have all three going at the same time. I have a Kindle, I have a paper book, and I have an audiobook. I love to read.
Ooh, nice. Okay. So no priorities there. We love it all. There's just something about paper,
I love to
it's
turn
like
pages, but man, it's hard to travel with big old books. So
that's
I
true.
just broke down and bought a Kindle like 3 weeks ago. It's my first one.
Uh, oh, there you go.
I
I
know.
love it. My
Keep
husband likes
growing.
the Kindle better because I always read about 15 minutes before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Um, and the Kindle is easier on him because I don't have to have the light
You have to
on.
have light on. Yeah.
Yeah, but I bought one of those little lamp thingies that go around your head and that
Ooh,
have
it
little
pokes a little
yeah.
antenna.
So
Nice.
for those of you listening and can't see me right now, I've got my index fingers poking out. So it's like a little thing that just wraps around my neck and it sticks out, points to the book, which a fellow Ohio State mom talked to me about it because we were talking about reading. We were when we were at orientation, and I'm like, they make those things? Oh, genius.
They
Um,
make everything.
yeah, they do. You just got to know about it.
You got a remote, they have a remote control to turn the pages on your Kindle so you don't, and like a stand so you don't have to get out from under your. I don't, I just saw it on Instagram. That's crazy.
Ooh, I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah, it's a stand and you have a remote to turn pages so you don't have to get your hands out of your blanket.
What? Okay, now, yeah,
We're
now,
gonna look this up.
you gotta look at Amazon in a hot minute. All right, so if you're to be entertained, do you watch a movie or binge a series?
Series. They've
Yeah,
lost the art of making movies, man.
so what's your most recent series?
I'm currently rewatching For All Mankind on Apple TV.
I don't know that one.
It's great. It's an alternate history as if Russia had won the space race.
Ooh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So it's all about NASA and space. It's pretty good.
I
Obviously, watching it for the
love
second
it.
time.
Good, good, good. Well, thank you so much for being here. Truly an honor to have you. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Breaking Bad Communication. Appreciate you tuning in. And before we sign off, don't forget to subscribe. And if you really liked what you heard today, it resonates with you, please share it, repost, tag somebody. Know this: the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your communication. As you head back out into the world, remember every conversation is your chance to shape your life and the lives of others. Whether it's a tough talk, casual chat, be clear, be intentional, use your words, and listen like it matters because it really does. The better you communicate, the more your life aligns with what you truly want. So go out there, own your voice, use your words, make your words count for you. You've got this. giddy up.